Thank you. And I want to go now to the Democratic Congressman Adam Schiff of California, who's the ranking member of the Select Committee on Intelligence. So, of course, part of the Russia investigation there. Congressman, this trial, not about collusion with the Trump campaign in Russia, as you know, just about an accused shrewd liar who evaded taxes and bought that $15,000 ostrich jacket, which I'm sort of obsessed with because I don't even know what I get such a mental image. They're saying this has nothing to do with the Trump campaign. Is it that simple?
No, it's not that simple, and I think if it were, you wouldn't find the president watching it so keenly. Look, this is Donald Trump's campaign manager who is pointing the finger at his deputy campaign manager. And if he is convicted, and as you point out, Aaron, he will face substantial time if he's convicted on these charges, he may flip, and that would be, I think, profoundly concerning to the president. We're already hearing conflicting reports about the president's knowledge and maybe involvement or approval of that Trump Tower meeting that Paul Manafort sat in on. If he is facing time, then he may come clean on what he knows about that meeting. But also, if Mueller were to be unsuccessful, it's an opportunity for the president to further bash him. But I have to say, I'm betting on Mueller on this. These are very document-specific allegations that are, I think, fairly easy to prove.
So, I mean, yeah, when it comes to paying your taxes or not, right, as you point out, right, Doc, it should be document-driven. But, you know, the ostrich coat, the $21,000 watch, the fleet of Range Rovers, right, the list that they're putting out goes on and on. You'd think with all that, he would just cooperate, but he isn't, right? Unlike other Trump associates who've been charged, right? Flynn, Papadopoulos, and Manafort's longtime number two, Rick Gates. I mean, is it possible that Manafort is not cooperating because he is not guilty? Do you even entertain that possibility at this point?
I really don't entertain that possibility. I think what is going on here is if Paul Manafort, even if he cooperated with authorities, he was still looking at a very substantial amount of time given the weight of these charges. And at his age, he may have concluded he doesn't have that kind of time to spend behind bars. He's going to go all in for a pardon. He's going to be the last man defending Donald Trump and bet it all on a pardon. And that may be where at least he's making his appeal.
Which is an interesting point. I want to ask you, the judge in the case, Judge Ellis, he's important. And remember, in May, he told Mueller's team, quote, "You don't really care about Mr. Manafort's bank fraud." He basically accused prosecutors of only caring about Manafort because he could lead to Trump's, quote, prosecution or impeachment. Those were the judge's words. He asked for Mueller's mandate. He looked at it and he said, OK, this can go forward. So he did do that. But what do you think of him? Do you think the trial will be fair?
You know, I certainly hope the trial will be fair. I was concerned by those comments because they didn't really go to any of the legal issues. It seemed like gratuitous political commentary, which you don't generally expect from a federal judge. A federal judge should look at the law, look at the mandate, look at the jurisdiction, and all of that was very clear. Ultimately, he ruled the right way. Yep. But those kind of political comments, I think, are concerning.
So the first government witness on the stand today, as Evan Perez was reporting, it's the rocket docket, right? They've got a lot of them, 34 on that side. They want to bang through this. It could happen 2-3 weeks. This could be very quick. It was Bernie Sanders' chief campaign strategist in 2016, Tad Devine, who was the first person on the stand. He's worked with Manafort in Ukraine. I remember him actually telling me about this during the campaign and being surprised at the time, but he did. He described his relationship with Manafort as friendly, said he was impressed by Manafort, saw him as a hardworking guy. You're a former U.S. assistant U.S. attorney. What do you make of that? Bernie Sanders, former top strategist, saying he's a hardworking guy and impressed by Manafort.
Well, I don't know the details of this, but Paul Manafort may be a very hardworking guy, and he may have worked very hard to hide his money and to failed to disclose his taxes. And bear in mind that some of these charges pertain to money laundering that was going on while he was the campaign manager for Donald Trump. So it may take a lot of work to get that ostrich coat, but that doesn't mean it was lawful work, and it certainly doesn't appear so from the indictment. As
the Russia investigation continues, and Mueller obviously is very focused on the Manafort case right now because this trial is first, but Facebook announces today that they're shutting down dozens more Facebook and Instagram accounts believed to be run by Russians. And it sort of confused me, Congressman. You know, you got Facebook. Mark Zuckerberg comes and testifies before Congress. They shut everything down. And now they're still finding accounts that they need to shut down even now. Does that make sense to you?
It does make sense because the Russians aren't going to stop, and they're not going to be as overt as they were, I think, in 2016. They're not going to use the same IP addresses out of St. Petersburg. We have seen continuing Russian activity really since the last election. It never stopped. And I think we should view what Facebook has disclosed in combination with what Microsoft disclosed within the week. And that is both of these same vectors that appear in these two Mueller indictments, the social media campaign and the hacking.
So you view these as new accounts, not Facebook being lackadaisical or incomplete, but sort of a continued onslaught from the Russians. Am I translating it right?
Yes. No,
Okay.
I think that's the case. We kept getting additional information from Facebook about advertising or organic content from those original IP addresses from St. Petersburg, but they are going to continue to learn about more as the Russians move and hide and use other proxies. Okay. So this is going to continue to be rolled out to the public. And I'm glad that Facebook is doing this. They're going to have to continue doing it. The intelligence community is going to have to continue sharing information, I hope, with the tech companies when they spot foreign actors abusing those platforms as well.
All right. Well, I appreciate